These are the best highlights from today's 2024 LCK Summer Split matchup.
I don't think Ono knows that Award went into that brush there either, as we're going to just do the same thing. It's a bit of a do-si-do.
But the winner of this is Zeus, who's pulling the Renekton, pushing the wave in is, okay, here we go.
Yeah, pyosik fighting against Ona here, who does manage to steal this one away. There's a lightning rush over. The stun comes out immediately, though, from Perfect, and pyosik going to get smashed into the ground. The flash out from Ona as well, as now Zeus is in an extraordinarily uncomfortable position. Seismic Shove is going to miss, and oh my goodness, is it going to work? The turret! Oh, he was almost out of there.
Almost out of there, but it is going to be a 1-for-1 in the end. Zoned off. You've got to make this work, pyosik. 3-6 is going to be tough.
Yep, Slicing Maelstrom is going to be used on the minion wave, and now Perfect just trying to get towards it, wants to get the mana wants to get the experience. As Ona was tanking this one up, we've got dives everywhere though, as Beryl goes in and straight up whiffs. That's going to be the crash down from Carrier to try and buy some space, and Gumayusi should be falling here somehow. It almost worked, but it is going to be the 1-for-2. And T1 just kind of winning everywhere.
Yeah, this is a disaster for KT Rolster. pyosik felt so hard forced when he saw Owner topside there to make this dive happen. It's just so difficult to do. The crash down from Carrier was so well played. And if you're trying to, as the bottom lane, and we'll talk about that in a moment. So even with pyosik ulting him, he can just then turn on the stuns and say no.
Right now, there's a Magnet Storm and a Bullet Time, and Feather Storm does need to be used. In comes Ona, though, as that's Beryl almost surviving. Deft also being able to get a fair bit of damage back, as now BDD throws down the wall. Carrier going to knock him off. That's going to be so much damage onto this Talia, and Seismic Shove is going to miss. BDD has to flash to get out after being the one theoretically engaging.
It's the easiest combo in the book. Meanwhile,
yep, Seismic Shove is going to be utilized here. The Renekton-Talia combination, some Shuriman friends are going to be able to take down the little Pikachu guy, as T1 now looking to try and answer, but Beryl pretty slippery.
He is going to commit the teleport. This will be seen by the wave, and Perfect still has his, but they're not going to be able to contest the dragon. He will not be teleporting to the opposite side of the map here post 10 minutes. Just head back to the top lane instead.
Well, pyosik really wants to kill Gumayusi, and he is just going to press the button and go for it. The quickness is down as well. Gumayusi is extraordinarily dead. That kill is going to go over to Deft at the same time, and so KT, we mentioned making some ground. This is going to be building upon
what can do.
Yep, no response, as we have more grubs going over to T1. It's going to be Ona securing, I believe, all 6 of them. pyosik not interested in fighting for these. I don't even remember where Ona managed to take the last ones, but I think it must have been when some of the shenanigans was going on. So that is going to be T1 with a big advantage as far as getting this push happening around the map, and they already have so much lane control.
Composition for T1 because, okay, we'll see something before that.
Yeah, Perfect is just going to pre-dominance and try and keep himself alive, and it ain't going to work at all. Zeus presses his R button and just zaps him down. Just fell down.
Almost got all.
Not going to be able to get those.
Yeah, should still be able to get the turret here before Deft does.
Yeah.
And that is going to be first turret going over to the Kennen, who was able to get a ton of plate gold, 375 plus the kills. He is just so large on that Thunderbolt Pikachu, the namesake of this player, why he always does the Z for Zeus, but also for Kennen in the Thunderbolt, shape that he makes the Z in. You guys know what I'm talking about. I need to explain the Zeus Z, but I'm like trying to.
Yeah. I think maybe he's just too strong, As Beryl's moving on over, just being a little bit frustrating here, as this Cloud Drake is going to be secured. It's an ocean.
When you go... Okay, Owner should be fine.
Yeah, he'll be all right.
When you go for the Crypt Bloom second and you are winning this game this hard, the item just feels so snowbally.
We haven't seen any sort of 5v5, any sort of setup. I really am intrigued as to whether or not, KT can make it work, as I've seen this on the top side of the map. It's going to happen once again, as there's the flash forward from Perfect. He avoids the Emperor's Divide, and then pyosik just goes through it. Vault Breaker comes down, but it's not going to be enough. Carrier is going to pay for his sins, but he flashes out of the way. Bullet Time to celebrate.
Get a ton of value in terms of damage, but it helped make sure that KT couldn't follow up further, and they're going to get a turret for this as well, it looks like.
Yeah, all 5 of them are over here. Seismic Shove goes wide. Perfect soaking as much of this as possible, but this is a foregone conclusion. Turret is going to go down, and T1 just slink away into the fog of war.
Season And just putting that early pressure in the top lane to great use, and then just having so much pressure that you can take those risks, that you can kind of play a little bit fast and loose and still get away with it. Does feel very T1, the T1 that ended up being our finalists so many times in a row. Frontlining.
Yeah, and Zeus on a flank angle as well, looking to try and catch this Renekton, making his way forward. He's spotted on that control ward, and there we go. Perfect still going to get tagged with the Shuriken, and Faker comes down. Renekton is very much going to die. It's just whether or not KT can find anything as a result of it, and the answer is going to be maybe mid lane out of turret, and I think, okay, never mind.
Chip away at this and get some control of the river back. Perfect has TP in 10 seconds.
Oh,
too late.
This dragon is still up and available. Faker is going to go golden, but there's the quickness. The bullet time is gigantic, though, and even Faker's sweep is going to work beautifully. Now Def, yes, he pressed the Feather Storm, but he comes down into hell once again, and T1 are going to wipe the map of KT, and Perfect, he just respawned. He's like, where did my friends go?
Bought that Seeker's arm guard. He had the extra eco with some of that extra plate gold to pick that up. Didn't finish his Leandri's. Isn't that as interested in that, because he just knows that if he has enough money to buy the stopwatch, he will be safe in almost any scenario, and he is when the engage comes through.
Soul Point also, I feel like we're watching the last series. You know, this is kind of like the advantages that B&K were getting, where they were the ones picking up all of the neutral objectives, but also winning the fights, winning the map, taking the turrets. And this is the T1 that we grew to expect, that we haven't seen for the last couple of weeks. They are going to be able to break open the base here on the bottom side of the map. And I think that I don't see really a way back for KT unless there is some sort of miracle.
Yeah, I think PDD was maybe hoping for a crazy flank there, but no one's vulnerable.
Well, it's trying to throw some rocks on the ground and things like that. Anyone not looking too worried about it. In a turret in the mid lane will be just sort of looked at momentarily, and that does go down. There is still an inner on the top side. Minion Wave in an awkward spot for T1.
Strong Renekton to do so. He'll just get turned on. He doesn't have TP right now, and T1 just slowly grinding them out of the game.
Yeah, Seismic Shove is going to connect, and did we notice? Not really. That is a Keeper's Verdict, just to be channeled here by Owner for fun. Storm, and there's a bullet time, and what does KT actually do to stop from melting? And the other especially when there's an Ocean Soul on top of it.
Yeah, the other thing too is that KT's comp requires you to be ahead.
To go in and try and fight this immediately, but Perfect was back home. There was no way for them to do anything about it.
So I said it was going to take a miracle to maybe steal this Baron, take that one away, win the team fight here. I think it's going to take an incredible miracle.
Do whatever he wants. It is getting a little bit difficult here, as you can see. Def finally taking a bit of damage. That is a Seismic Shove. They get a stun onto Carrier, who crashes out of there. Still, it's 50% health almost of a Rel. That's what they get for managing to find the angle. BDD, if he gets another one of these shoves, though, it could be an important moment here as quickness from Beryl. He looks for the angle. Owner just says no and presses W.
That was a little tricky way for him to try to do it, but Owner just is like, nah.
Yeah, the R for W trade is a rough one.
30 seconds after, or for 30 seconds before this Baron expires, the Elder will spawn. So T1, again, don't even have to get permanent damage done here. They would like to get an inhibitor and then just be able to kite back easily, but so far, pretty heroic defense from KT.
Yep, and now we've got Faker having to use that Zhonya's once again. Owner taking a lot of damages. There's the bullet time. That's going to get the doubles, and Zeus just cleans up the back line. Seismic Shove does nothing. Emperor's Divide does everything, and T1 will cleanly ace KT. They were very patient with that play, but this is going to be the last one of the game. Surgical from T1 here in game number 1, and some well-needed revenge for them in the Telecom War. Owner was absolutely incredible, and I ate my words on that one. However, it's just always fun watching Owner play this champion.
I think that the Ziggs, you know, the ban here is really smart, but
quite going to be a thing that they can contest, as Bioshik is going to come in and at least supervise. And yep, just presses a button, and Owner is going to ignore it.
He made his feet cold, and then he kept killing the frogs.
Well, Owner is going to look for him. Root Caller does come down, and there is the Weaver's Wall. Flash out from Bioshik, but Faker follows him immediately. Now BDD is going to turn up, and there's the culling. Ona still level 5, so doesn't have the kick, and meanwhile Zeus and Perfect are fighting. The flash out, but the flash in! First blood for BDD, and Perfect follows up immediately! That's 3 kills! And is it gonna be 3 games?
I mean, it's looking more likely after this moment. Don't count T1's chances out just yet, but I mean, it looked really silly for the first part of this as Guma is hanging around looking for a potential steal.
Oh, that would be a pretty unfortunate steal, as that was a pretty early smite, I believe. And Gumayushi is going to turn up, and Daisy is also going to come in. Perfect. Getting that shove through. Zeus is still wandering towards the lane. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Keria is just doing his very best, but there is a demolish proc, and
so
man, these high notes are really hurting.
Yeah, KT is really winning everywhere. I mean, getting the advantage here bottom side as well. Some extra plate gold for the Seraphine. You can see the gold graph showing.
Yeah, Encore is going to come on through here as Ona turns up. Keria almost dies, actually, before it even happens. As Beryl, he's under the turret, and he's going to die. That means the Deft is also really dead, but at least they get one.
Well,
there's that. Shenanigans.
It went over to the Leona, though. It's like 17.
Yeah, and we need the percentage as well. Oh, as Faker is just dead. Yeah, there's the flash forward, gets the double tap, and BDD, he's on a killing spree. He is too big right now.
Yes,
yeah.
You called him out of the game.
All right, Daisy's coming out, but Ona's coming in. And Perfect going to find the stun. They're still going to go for this one. There's the knockup. Thanks, Daisy. And out goes Ona. Let's see whether he can keep himself alive, though, because Daisy's still in amongst it. The Root Caller helping the Renekton get in. Another Zenith Blade. Where's the turret range? Where's Gumayushi's health bar? My goodness, the damage to come out from... That's just a lost chapter.
Just a
what
lost.
the heck? As they were the girls from our picture-in-picture before, as another Encore going to come in, as Keria is going to get solar flared as well. There's a Zenith Blade from Keria one more time. Sorry, from Beryl one more time, as Faker is once again fighting BDD. This time the shove into the rocks is going to come on through. More friends over here to try and help out the mid lane. There's the Weaver's Wall as BDD. He's got the Trigger Seed shield. He just turns around and kills Faker. There's the kick flash as Pyoshik is going to flash to get back out once again as Ona. One more turret shot and he's going to die, but that's not going to come on through. And now Deft is going to need to turn up. There is going to be the kill onto Zeus. And now Perfect comes in at the same time. Gumayushi, oh dear. Let's see whether he can get himself out of this one. Perfect is going to have a slice and or dice coming up relatively soon. His flash is also only a couple of seconds away. The flash comes through from Gumayushi, though. That is going to send them out of there. Poor. Yeah.
He got there in the end, but
poor Bristle.
Owner is in trouble.
Oh, this is live. Okay, yeah, Daisy's going to get another knockup as Perfect comes on in. That is going to be the kickback, and that should be enough to disengage. But he has to get the heck out of here. That is going to be a Hextech Drake to be taken here by KT. First Dragon in 12.5 minutes.
Does have teleport. See if he wants to commit to trying to defend some plates here. Topside has taken the grubs here also by T1. Very greedy. It's going to take Ivern a million years to get that dragon, but...
Yeah, very true. All right, Perfect is just flashing forward. This guy is angry. And now Gumayushi completely out of mana, but did manage to throw down the Dawning Shadow at least. And should be able to walk this one off. So,
it's so greedy what T1 did there, and they get punished again.
Biding his time, but for what is the question, as T1 they are going to be able to take this turret on the bottom side of the map, and that is first turret blood, I believe. Yeah, it is. So, bit of an extra inroad of money.
Definitely a huge win for the somewhat starved fasting Senna here.
A little bit unfortunate that KT weren't able to actually patch that one up, because Rift Herald, I don't know whether it's worth it.
I think if they can get the mid turret with the Rift Herald, it will definitely feel very valuable.
Rewarded for BDD's defensive play. Now maybe immediately punished. Let's just see how this one's going to go as the teleport in. BDD looking for Gumayushi, has to flash. Double TPs means that now T1 find themselves a little bit late to their own party, and it's going to be the outer turret taken. KT now grouped up, ready to go for this dragon as well.
Yeah. This is going to be a TP top for Zeus. They're going to try to push mid at the same time.
There's the flash forward as Faker's going to get interrupted. No writing on the wall for you, sir. And the solar flare is going to find the sweet spot. That is an interruption, but BDD is just going to zap him down. And Faker finds himself 0 and 4, unfortunately. And KT, they're going to put Perfect in the bottom lane. He's going to take down that inner turret.
Trying to do so much here. They're not... okay. It should still be the turret.
Yeah, you can keep talking
so
about
anyway,
the other thing.
I feel like the KT are just not going to fall prey to T1 being like, I get something cross map. They're just not going to let them have anything. BDD?
Yeah, he's going to be in a whole host of trouble. The Dawning Shadow is even going to help out, and the turret loses interest in stopping T1 here. So KT will be able to answer with a Dragon.
They finally got him.
Yeah. Infernal Soul as well this game. That's an exciting one.
They've been able to match them at every turn.
Yeah, I like that they are still staying very proactive, right? Still getting around this map, trying to take down objective after objective, find these opportunities. The more they can group up and utilize the Ivern and the shields, the more value they're going to get. As, okay, Beryl could find himself in a rough spot, but he's going in! There's a turret! He has a Zenith Blade, and he's getting under there, and he's surviving, for goodness sake! That was way too long to be alive, as now Deft will finally turn up. Speeds himself through here. Perfect is now going to find his entranceway, but KT have already lost one. Seismic Shove is going to knock back the Renekton, and he could be the next little pickup here as they take down the turret. Perfect is going to be alive. He is much less squishy than he was in game number 1. Has another Seismic Shove. This time, he is definitely dead. The Encore! And Deft is able to help take down Ona. Gumayusi follows immediately as Deft... I mean, the Seraphine is doing ridiculous work. He does die. T1 win the fight. But you can see Ona looking for an opportunity. I don't think he's going to be able to steal away this Drake. That is going to be the sole point picked up by KT. Now, the Weaver's Wall comes in. Glacial Prison is used. And KT are going to take the Drake and then look for a flash play onto Ona. That is a miss, though, unfortunately. There is now Perfect looks for the pickoff, and Senna is just dead. Seismic Shove used defensively, that is decent peel, but now the culling comes in. The Redemption layered on top. The teleport flank angle, and there is the Encore. Zay is going to be taken out. Deft is answered though. Carrier going down very low, and KT, they still have their 80 carry because it's BDD.
Yeah, you know what? It's kind of like accidental funnolution, okay?
Yeah.
All the gold.
Oh my goodness, it finally worked.
He's got double shields. And the AP ratio on that is pretty good. And you have the Ivern as well, so it's just kind of crazy what this Lucian is able to do as well.
The entirety of this series. Now, able to get on in here. That Seismic Shove not really going to find too much there, as Fake is just going to have to back off to the next line of defense.
This game, it's kind of insane.
Yeah. And he just understands that he is the one that has the target on his back. And he's going to play around it as best he can. Q going to connect there onto Pyosik. He's just going to back off. Yeah, looking for this one. Deft realizing that that wall is in a rough position. Let's see whether they can keep themselves alive. Is Perfect? You are just dead, my friend. The rest of your team were not there.
That was a disaster.
Yeah.
Rushes. Use your setup.
Ona. Now just going to be chased out by Beryl. There's a Weaver's Wall as Beryl's getting amongst it, going to stun him up here as the high note is so good. Solar Flare going to connect onto Ona as well. Remember, he does have a GA, so he can keep himself alive for a lot longer.
What if you were a champion with CC, shields, a little bit of healing, and also a bunch of damage?
Yeah.
Would you be Seraphine? I think you would be in this game.
Huh, yeah.
It's actually crazy. All right, now they're going to start the Baron. T1 all around them.
Yeah, there's a Seismic Shove, going to connect onto Perfect. Down to 50%, the Shock Blast is not going to land as Ona. Can he be the hero? He gets it, he steals it! And he is going to go down to the GA. Can they get themselves out alive, though? That's the question. Even Ona is able to survive, but Gumayusi's dead. The Jace is dead as well. There is not a lot of damage left in this composition. And the kick out onto Pyosik there. Deft is probably going to have the damage if he can actually land a few of these buttons. The smite comes in, and there it goes. Surround sound means that he's just never going to be able to touch the Seraphine, and even though the Baron was picked up here by T1, it's likely that KT can still do some big damage to this base.
I mean, Zeus, he did kill a lot of shields in that fight, but otherwise not able to do a whole lot. Faker alone to defend is going to be so difficult. Guma not really an 80 carry here. They have Baron buff minions.
Oh, another Solar Flare. That really nailed the minion as Faker's going to go golden. Seismic Shove connected in the meantime. That looked pretty good, but Faker is still dead. And Daisy, she's just wandering around. Carrier going the wrong direction, throws an ulti to Narnia, and he will be taken down. It's BDD collecting his 8th of the game as Gumayusi slinks into the mist, but he might want to stay there as this game is over. KT roaring back into the series. It would not be a Telecom War without 3 games. and I'm so glad that KT were able to turn it around and give us 3 in this one.
He could use the singularity to see in the bushes. I guess that's
true.
Yeah,
there we go.
That's kind of a positive. There's not really much counterplay to that from KT Rolster, but carry down because there's that power trough as BDD.
Whoa, he's just flashing in, looking for Faker here. Can he find the autos? And there's the last one. Picks it up, doesn't die to the turret.
Advantage over Faker to Guma's over Deft. You won't be happy if you're a KT fan.
No. It's 18 to 50. It's kind of absurd. Ona going to move in, look for the spear onto BDD. Is pyosik going to need to shield him? BDD just able to get the kill. Still, it's answered this time as the jungle is now facing off pyosik without too much firepower. And Deft continuing to get zoned. So yeah, I mean, BDD did have that kill. There's a hook onto Carrier there at the same time as Beryl just desperately trying to do anything that he can. But he is now the one burning down. Deft trying to get anything done as that's a last auto. And that is a dead Beryl in the 2v2. And T1 just demonstrating that this bottom lane, they still got it.
I mean, Beryl tried his best to try to get any sort of space here for Deft, but is unfortunately for him unsuccessful. Good spacing there from Guma on the follow-up autos. Takes Beryl out. Deft left alone here. At least he's the one who survives. At least maybe he can get some of that critical farm. Now, BDD picked up a second kill here in mid. It's not an assist, but it is big gold for him, so definitely a trade up. The kill goes over to a Nidalee.
He's human after all. And here on the bottom side of the map, yeah, Deft and Beryl continuing to have just a terrible time.
Yeah, and I mean, okay.
Oh, speaking of terrible times, to the skies is Faker. Yeah, hands off keyboard here.
I mean, he is still massively behind, but what T1 have been able to gain from this is a pretty substantial amount of gold for their bottom lane, and they're trying to actually wipe this turret out. Looks like they will be successful on this wave, although the Iron Brush makes this very frustrating. So maybe not quite.
Yeah. Oh god, all of the poke coming in. One more auto would have done it. There's a trap in the brush. Man, the brushes are actually making it more frustrating for KT, and they're being built by their jungler.
Yeah, this is really annoying to deal with, but they are keeping this turret alive for now.
I don't know whether this turret is really worth trying to save because there are 3 members of T1 down here. And the extender beam not really going to help out there as, okay, Root Caller does come on through. Kamushi is going to get the heal though from the Primal Surge. And they try to do their best to take down the cannon, but that is not going to work.
So how well Caitlyn can utilize this gold is going to be the real question because 40 CS down.
Beryl is just unfazed.
No, he doesn't care.
Not even a little bit. BDD going to turn up. Ona is able to secure that one grub. And so that is 2 apiece here. KT looking to try and lock down their third. And, oh, I thought that spear was actually going to be able to pick that one up. But good smite there from pyosik.
You can see T1 just aren't confident to fight this right now. They don't have any vision.
Oh, okay. Light Binding does come on in. Peacemaker down as well as he's just dead. The final spark is going to be exactly that, and Beryl, this is the power of the poke composition.
His life has the heal and will be okay, but you can see the potential of what could have gone wrong there. Good flash from BDD. And we're starting part 2, this time on the Herald, but this time T1 a lot more control than they had the last.
Yep, Asen Hole going to come on through as there is the depth charge onto the Nidalee. He's burning, but so's Beryl, and there's Faker picking up his first kill. T1 now with a big advantage, but not necessarily in the health bars. Still, the Rift Herald should be secured here. And T1 just making this win lane, win game composition work for them.
And the final spark was massive there as well, ripping through those health bars, making it so that there was no way KT could try to follow up and punish those low health bar champions on the side of T1. And that's the Herald going over. And T1's lead is just becoming so big at this point. Sure, it was a big ultimate from Deft, and yes, he has high damage output.
Yeah, Shirelli is coming in relatively soon as there's some redemption damage, and the flash forward from Beryl. Gumayushi, he does not have his flash available. Root Caller comes down. There's the hook. BDD's like, give me my 4th, and he'll be able to pick that one up. Deft, the mid lane, some plants go up, and so does Daisy and Beryl. He's on the prowl once again. Gumayushi gonna be in trouble here as Perfect is just going to put him into the death realm. What are you going to do about it? And the answer is die. And then a whole bunch of stats now go over to this Mordekaiser. Hooks connecting, but the final spark is just going to end them. The all-out comes through from Zeus, and now the flash forward Deft smells blood in the water and wants to get some sort of kill here as Zeus getting himself out. BDD presses W, but I don't know whether they're going to be able to quite find it as finally the kill comes in. The answer's there from KT. The kills are even. It's a bloodbath, but I don't even necessarily know who's in the best position to win.
I mean, when you look at how these fights have been going, it's like Keria is doing the most damage.
Yeah.
Guma's doing a little bit, right? And this time just ulted out. You mentioned, hey, if you have the man advantage, you win these, and it's Riftmaker on the Mordekaiser. I don't know if we should watch the whole thing, but anyway, they end up killing Zeus here as well. In the meantime, the mid turret goes down, and that is a big tool gone for KT.
Game goes on.
Look at this gold here in turrets. 3,000 nearly for T1, all in that turret.
So not necessarily fully out of the woods, but certainly feeling better than the way Deft is at this point in time, sitting on, like you mentioned before, just the Zeal. All right, going to not necessarily find the target as Keria just explodes. Beryl's going to be traded, but now BDD, he's on the prowl. The all-out angle is going to be there for Zeus, and he drags the Jace into the team. Gorgeously played from the man in the top lane, and that is going to give T1 the edge. Right, like, KT have so much engage, so many of these angles to set up to try and answer, that it can be quite difficult as they are doing the dragon. It's very easy to do dragon when there's actually no one around.
Infernal again.
And that's a high value one. So 2 Drakes going over to T1 as Final Spark going to be thrown towards Perfect.
Tricky part, you know, they had the Zeus Cassante engage on him last time around, but how do you close the gap on this Jace? Maybe you just simply weather the storm and have the Caitlyn do the work, you front to back it.
Yeah.
Because trying to set up an engage or a pick is so challenging.
Oh, Keria going to be able to find a bit of a combo. There's the spear to land as well. Beryl is just dead. They find the pick, they set up the vision, and they're going to look for a Baron off the back end of it.
Area has been so essential in finding these bindings to actually punish this aggressive positioning from Beryl.
Well, there is going to be vision going into this Baron pit. Pioshik does have his flash available. Can he be the hero is the question. The answer is no. Zeus just said, get out of here. The Baron's going to be secured. Daisy's going to be taken down first. Pioshik is destroyed, and T1 just snowball the fight so beautifully. Yes, Perfect is able to kill a Lux, but I think Keria did his job this game. Faker going to be able to lock down that kill. It's now 12-8.
Beryl, they get a Baron. KT absolutely get dunked on in the fight, and then Baron is up, and it's already 3,000 gold. The power play, 4,000 here with this turret going down. There's so much follow-up damage from Guma. It looks like Zeus is actually two-shotting him, but it's Guma over the wall just popping him. And yes, Perfect does get the flank and takes Keria out, but his sacrifice was legendary, and it's probably what's going to win T1 this Telecom War.
Yep. Hook is going to miss here as T1 are just going to bear down on this inhibitor. Zeus says thanks for the gap closed as Perfect's going to pull him in. That is Beryl dead for the 7th time this game. And KT just looking like there is absolutely nothing that they can do. We praised them for the draft, but things went so wrong in the early game. There was no way for them to utilize it in any way, shape, or form. Nexus turret's going down. T1 going to get some revenge against KT. They're going to move to 4th place in the LCK, and they're going to send KT to 7th with a victory here. Deft is trying to kite his way out of this one, but he's not going to be able to. He wanted to kite his way out of the early game. This is the way that he gets out of it, and it's via defeat at the hands of T1.
These were some of the best highlights from today's 2024 LCK Summer Split matchup. Which moment was your favorite? Let me know in the comment section below. This is OP, and I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.